So apologize and make you guys wait.
Nick, I'm sure you saw the AJ post on social media where he quoted scripture and said, if you're not welcomed, not listened to, quietly withdraw, don't make a scene, shrug your shoulders, and be on your way. Is it your understanding that AJ still wants to be here?
Yeah, yeah. Obviously AJ is very important to this football team. I know he wants to contribute. I know he wants to contribute and do the things that he's capable of doing. And but yeah, I mean, again, he wants to contribute into these wins, and he's had a couple games where he hasn't been able to, and for different reasons of why we haven't in these games. So, but I question nothing about his desire to play great football, his desire of being a good teammate, his desire to be here.
We'll go to Jeff Nyberg and then John McMullen.
Nick, how do you go about addressing a situation like that with AJ? Is it something you talked to him about last night after it happens? Do you talk to him today? Have you talked to him, and what was that conversation like?
Yeah, obviously, always talk to him. Somebody I talk to on a daily basis. I try to reach out to all our guys on a daily basis, and won't get into any private conversations that we have with any of the players about any topic. Right? That's sacred relationship between the head coach and players, and we'll always keep that private, but always in constant communication with all these guys.
We'll go to John McMullen and then Dave Zangaro.
Hey, Nick. On field, after you got to watch the film, first half versus second half, we've talked in the past about manufacturing touches. You don't really want to force it at times, but what is your responsibility? What is KP's responsibility when it is going a little bit sour, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, to sort of maybe kickstart that thing?
Yeah, we're responsible. I'm responsible for everything that happens on that field, offense, defense, special teams. That's the job of a head coach, is to be responsible for all that. So, obviously as coaches, you want to put them in positions to succeed for different reasons. We were really successful in the first half, played a really good first half, and wasn't as successful as second half. Had some negative plays, had some calls we want back, had some plays we'll want back. As players and coaches. But I think when we talk about our efficiency, we want to hit explosives, we want to be efficient, we want to protect the football. We had some plays that moved backwards, right, for different reasons, and so which again was kind of some of the things that happened. In the previous game that we moved backwards a little bit on first and second down, so which makes it tough on third down. So again, need to be explosive, need to protect the football while still and need to be efficient. And there was times for different reasons, like I said, we weren't that in that second half.
We'll go to Dave and then Rube.
Hey, Nick, in a more general sense, when there are some frustrations in a locker room, what have you learned in your role as a head coach about the best way to deal with those?
Yeah, open, honest communication. And I think it starts with, the relationship that you build with the guys before, anything, so, but it's always about being open and being honest. And it's always about the relationship. So again, I know he wants to contribute to what we're doing out there, especially when we had the second half that we had, and again, like I said, never question the teammate he is, never question the effort that he plays with, and the player that he is and the person that he is.
We'll go to Rube and then Zach.
Hey, Nick. In the second half, the defense came up with some real big stops at key moments. Gave up a lot of yards, but tough in the red zone. A couple takeaways. What is it about this defense and these guys that enables them to to come up with those clutch type of plays at key moments in games, and how important is that?
Yeah, obviously, anytime you win the turnover battle, that's a big deal. And we were able to force some turnovers yesterday, and then you count the block punt, and then you also count the turnover and downs on fourth down stop. What I see with our defense is 11 guys just going as hard as they can, flying to the football. Right? We missed a couple more tackles than we've missed in the past yesterday. But what was so cool to see is those didn't turn into explosives. Their teammate was right there for them, right next to him, just in the swarm to make the tackle if we missed one. So that's what really stands out is the relentless effort. The play that Jihad has the interception on. I didn't even notice it in the game until I saw it. On film and looked at it on film. Reed gets a hand on that, right? Reed gets a hand on that and kind of makes it look like it wasn't a great throw. And Baker was trying to put it over top Jihad's head, and Reed gets a hand on that to allow Jihad to make that play. So it's them playing together for each other and with relentless effort and which is what you want on defense, right? Just that relentless effort. And we made some really big plays in some critical moments. Obviously have things to clean up, with some of the explosives that were hit. But when you're playing that hard and for each other, that good things happen.
We'll go to Zach and then Brooks.
Thank you.
Hey, Nick, if I can follow up on the variations you have to the tush push, what made yesterday the right time to use those, and how do you think it affects the way defenses play you going forward?
Yeah, hopefully you soften them up, right? You soften them up for the next time you run it. I won't get into schematically, Zach, just why we thought in that particular game or when or anything like that. Obviously, for you guys understand that. I appreciate you guys understanding that. But yeah, you hope that you soften it up for the next time that you run the play. That's a good defense, as we know, with really good interior linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, like you name it. And it was the right time yesterday for it. And we probably had a couple more of those in 23 and 22 that we ran more so than in 24. That were really, I can think of a couple off the top of my head that, whether it was at Washington in 23 or against the Giants in 22, that turned into some explosive plays as well. So it was just the right time yesterday. Kevin did a good job of calling those in those scenarios, and the players did a great job of executing.
We'll go to Brooks and then Martin.
Hey, Nick, with Quinyon Mitchell's play yesterday, I'm just curious what you've seen as the season's begun, some of the things behind the scenes that are matching with the play that's showing up on Sunday.
Yeah, just a relentless guy who relentlessly works every day. You stay out after practice, he's out there working his footwork, he's out there working catches, he's out there working his breaks and his ability to press and all his footwork that goes into playing defensive back. So it's great when you see, and obviously he's highly talented. And so it's great when you see that work, that daily grind, show up because, we're a product of our habits and those habits are formed in practice. And I think, you get top level preparation by Q, not only in practice, but in pre and post practice.
We'll go to Martin and then Bo.
Hey, Nick. I was wondering if you're seeing any kind of, common denominator in the way Jalen Hurts is playing, both in the first half against the Rams and then the second half yesterday against the Buccaneers. Like, what kind of adjustments are those teams making to kind of limit his effectiveness?
Yeah, I think he's been, again, really efficient. You look at it, he's in the top 10 at completion percentage. He's in the top 10 of quarterback ratings and top 10 of QBR. All those things, show how efficient that he's been. Obviously, when you're that efficient and you're good on offense, you're going to see different things from different teams. And it's hard to say, hey, because Martin, it's, sometimes they did this, like one team did this, the other team did this, just to try to slow us down. Um, and but I've just seen that consistency, efficient play, and as far as what one half looked like and what another half looked like, we got to be more, we got to coach more consistent, we got to play more consistent across the board. So we put together a full game. I look at our first 4 games this year, very similar to what our first 4 games were last year. Um, you know, we've obviously played a very hard September schedule, and coming out of September last year, it was a good opportunity for us to sit and say, hey, what do we do good? What are we, not doing so good, and try to, figure that out and get better from it and get better every day. Well, it's the same thing here. It's just we have a different record right now. And so we have to have that same hunger, same humbleness that we had last year, this year. Not trying not to speak too much about, different seasons, but that first month of the season, right? You're figuring some things out, because at the end of the day, you want to continue to play better, better, better. So you're playing your best football at the end. And so a lot of things to clean up at every position, offensively, defensively, special teams. And that's what today was about. Was yesterday we enjoyed it. Today, back to work, telling each other the truth, in attempts to get better.
We have time for a couple more, so we'll finish with Bo and then EJ.
Following up on that, Nick, both on Jalen and maybe, figuring out who you guys are through the first 4 weeks, is it possible for you to put more on Jalen on his shoulders in the offense?
I think Jalen's capable of helping us win anyway. Excuse me. Anyway, that he's proven to that for the past 4 years of his career. We can win with him playing a lot of different ways. That's why he's a special quarterback. And so whether that's something in the pass game or check game in his checks, or in the run game, or his run game checks, or him actually running the ball, I think he's proven that he can win multiple ways, which is why we've been able to win so many games. And so got a ton of confidence in him and the things that he can do.
We'll finish with EJ here.
Hey, Nick, you mentioned yesterday that you'd probably have a better answer on what kind of stalled out for the run game, and especially in the second half. I guess, what did you see in your film review of the run game?
Yeah, so we had some hits, we had some misses, right? And what happens sometimes on the misses is when it turns into a negative, it puts you behind. And so, we had a little bit too many negatives yesterday for different reasons. It's never just going to be, oh, it was this, or oh, it was that. There's always, this is why it's the greatest team sport there is. There's always different things pointing to, why a play was successful or why a play wasn't successful. But I think at the end of the day, we weren't efficient enough, and that's going to be something that we'll do everything we can to make sure we're playing efficient and in the run and the pass, because we know when we do that, good things happen for our offense.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you, everybody.